Manchester City have just won the FA Cup. The trophy is in their hands. The confetti is falling. And Rodri is standing in front of a camera, calm, composed, and sending a direct message to Arsenal Football Club. He said, everything can happen. We just need them to drop points. Not if, not maybe. Just, we need them to drop points. That one sentence tells you everything about where this title race stands right now. Arsenal are top of the Premier League table by 2 points. 2 games remain, Burnley at home, Crystal Palace away, and Manchester City are not done. The Gunners are this close to ending 22 years of waiting. 22 years since this club last held the Premier League trophy. And right now, in this exact moment, every decision, every minute on the pitch, every injury update, every transfer rumour and every word spoken by players and managers carries enormous weight. This is not a moment for comfortable analysis. This is a moment for complete clarity. So today we are going through every single story surrounding Arsenal right now, one by one, with precision and honesty, because you deserve the full picture, not just the headlines. Stay with me, because this one is important. Rodri sends a warning to Arsenal. The first thing that caught attention this morning was a post from Haters TV. They shared a quote directly from Rodri, the Manchester City midfielder, speaking after City's FA Cup victory. And his words were measured, but they carried a clear message. Rodri said, and I want you to hear these words carefully, everything can happen. It is just we need them to drop points. It can happen in the next one or in the last game. In their position, it is not easy to finish the task, and we have to be there pushing until the end. Now let us read that again for what it actually is. This is not a man panicking. This is not a man who has accepted defeat. This is a Ballon d'Or winner, a serial winner, a player who has been at the centre of one of the most dominant club sides in recent history, and he is calmly telling the world that Manchester City are not done. My analysis on this is simple. Rodri is not speaking emotionally. He is speaking from experience. And the experience he is drawing from is painful and powerful. City have been in pressure title races before. They know what it feels like to be chasing. They also know, as Rodri himself acknowledged in the full article, that they nearly lost the title from the front. That moment against Aston Villa in the 83rd minute of the final day, when they were losing and facing a collapse, that is burned into the memory of every City player. So when Rodri talks about the difficulty of finishing the job from the front, he is not guessing. He is warning Arsenal from lived experience. The key word in his quote is pushing. City will keep pushing. That means Arsenal cannot afford a single moment of relaxation in the next 2 games. Arsenal's record against promoted sides at home. The next story comes from Arsenal Radar, and this one is genuinely striking from a statistical standpoint. The post reads that Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 44 Premier League home games against promoted sides since a 1-0 defeat to Newcastle in 2010. It goes further. The Gunners have won their last 15 such matches with an aggregate score of 43 goals to 9 in 15 games at home against promoted sides. Now, Burnley are the next opponents. Burnley are already relegated. They are a promoted side who could not survive in the Premier League this season, and Arsenal are hosting them at the Emirates Stadium. My analysis here is straightforward. This record is not a coincidence. It reflects the identity Arsenal have built under Mikel Arteta at home. The Emirates has become a fortress in these specific matchups, and the numbers back that up completely. 43 goals scored and only 9 conceded across 15 games tells you that Arsenal do not just win these games, they dominate them, they control them, they make them comfortable. The risk would be complacency, but this record actually suggests the opposite, that Arsenal as a collective know how to handle these situations at home. The systems are sharp, the mentality is right, and the data supports confidence going into Monday's game. Bukayo Saka speaks from the heart. The next story is a short but powerful one. Arsenal Buzz shared a quote from Bukayo Saka, who was asked what it would mean to win silverware with Arsenal this season. His answer was 4 words. That is the dream. It would mean everything. Now, some people will scroll past that and think, of course he said that. Every player says things like that. But I want to stop here and give this moment the weight it deserves. Bukayo Saka is not just any player at Arsenal. He is the player who came through the academy. He has grown up supporting this club. He has worn the shirt since he was a teenager. He has seen the near misses. He has felt the heartbreak of title races that slipped away. And now he is standing at the edge of something genuinely historic. When he says it would mean everything, that is not a press conference answer designed to fill a quote. That is a young man who knows exactly what this moment means for the club and for himself. And that emotional investment from key players is often what separates a team that wins a title from a team that finishes second. Saka cares, and the evidence this season suggests the entire squad cares at the same level. Martin Zubimendi paints a picture of London in red. This one is important on multiple levels. Arsenal News Channel shared a quote from Martin Zubimendi, the Arsenal midfielder, speaking about the possibility of the club winning the Premier League this season. His quote deserves to be read in full. He said, "We are looking forward to it because in the end it has been a very long season. We see that we are close, that we can do something big, and we are looking forward to it and to be able to celebrate a possible feat. If we can do it, then it is going to be an important moment for the fans. Hopefully, London will be dressed in red, and I think that because of everything I have experienced this year, I want to think it is going to be a unique day." That quote is extraordinary when you read it carefully. This is a player who arrived at Arsenal and has gone through an entire Premier League season with all the pressure and the tension and the expectation, and he is describing the potential outcome as a unique day, not just a trophy, a unique day, a day that changes things. My analysis is this: Zubimendi is connecting the personal to the collective. He is not speaking as a hired professional ticking boxes. He is speaking as someone who has been changed by this experience. And when a player of his quality, a player who had options across Europe, speaks like that about your club, it tells you something profound about the culture Arteta has built inside that dressing room. This is a group of people who genuinely believe in what they are doing and who understand the size of the moment. Before we continue, if you are finding this analysis valuable, if you want to go beyond the headlines and actually understand what these stories mean for Arsenal, then please hit the subscribe button right now. Every subscriber helps this channel grow, and I am committed to bringing you the deepest and most honest Arsenal analysis available anywhere. Now let us keep going because there is so much more to cover today. Arsene Wenger defends Arteta's philosophy. The next story comes from Arsenal News, sharing comments from Arsene Wenger about Mikel Arteta's management of Arsenal Football Club. Wenger said, "I do not believe Arteta changed the style of football I left at Arsenal. He evolved it to fit his own coaching ideas." He also added, "A lot of people say Arsenal's football is boring now, but this is the style dominating the league at the moment." This is a fascinating perspective and one that deserves careful analysis. There has been a long-running debate among fans about whether Arteta's Arsenal feels different from the Arsenal that Wenger built. Some supporters argue that the romance of the football has been replaced by something more mechanical. Wenger, the man who defined Arsenal's identity for 22 years, is directly addressing that debate. And his answer is nuanced. He is not saying Arteta copied him. He is saying Arteta took the foundation and evolved it. That is the mark of an intelligent coaching succession. You build on what exists rather than demolishing it and starting from scratch. Wenger is essentially endorsing Arteta's method by saying the roots are the same, even if the expression has changed. The second part of that quote is equally important. Wenger is defending the style against those who call it boring, and his defence is based on results. This is the style that is dominating the league. You cannot argue with that. Results are the only honest measure in football, and everything points to Arteta's methods working at the highest level. The Kroenkes plan major rewards for the squad and staff. This next story is significant because it comes from inside the club's ownership structure. Arsenal News reported that Josh Kroenke and Stan Kroenke are planning major rewards for the Arsenal squad and staff. Bonuses, gifts and special rewards are said to be already planned, regardless of how the season finishes. The Post listed what the Kroenkes reportedly believe about this season. Arsenal have competed at the very highest level. They have elevated the club globally. They have generated massive revenue growth, and they have re-established Arsenal among football's elite. The feeling inside the club is described as one where the progress, the unity and the global impact achieved this season already deserve major recognition. My analysis here focuses on one specific phrase. Regardless of how the season finishes, that is the critical detail. The owners are not making their appreciation conditional on winning. They are recognising the journey, the culture and the transformation of the club even before the final results are known. Now, this could be read two ways. Some fans might feel it sounds like the owners are preparing for the possibility of not winning. But the more accurate reading, based on everything else in this story, is that the owners understand that what has been built this season goes beyond a single trophy. The infrastructure, the global reputation, the squad value and the competitive identity of this club have all been transformed. The Kroenkes appeared to genuinely understand the scale of that achievement. Zubimendi and the squad's focus on themselves. Liquid Gooner shared another key update on Zubimendi's mindset, and this one adds important context to the title race. The Post noted that Arsenal are 3 wins away from a historic league and Champions League double. It confirmed that Zubimendi insists the squad are focused only on winning their own games, despite the title race pressure from Manchester City. This connects directly to what Zubimendi said in the full article, where he told Mirror Sport, "We are very clear that to win everything we have to do our job. We depend on ourselves, so I do not think we care what the others do. We are focused on ourselves." And Eberechi Eze echoed that sentiment, saying he watches City's games, but he does not stress over how they perform. He said it is in Arsenal's control and the focus is on what they need to do. My analysis on this collective mindset is important. When you hear multiple players in the same squad using the same language independently, the phrase "in our control" appearing from different voices, that is not a coincidence. That is a dressing room culture that has been deliberately built. Arteta has clearly worked hard to ensure that this team does not become distracted by external noise. They are executing a philosophy of internal focus, and that is exactly what a team needs when 2 games stand between them and a league title they have not won in 22 years. 3 former players now managing Big Six clubs. CBS Sports' Galazzo shared an observation that has captured the imagination of football fans broadly. Michael Carrick, Xabi Alonso and Mikel Arteta will all be managing Big Six clubs next season. The Post included a quote that described this as "time is crazy," accompanied by old playing photos of all 3 men competing against each other as players. My analysis here is brief but meaningful. This observation matters because it reflects how football has changed. A generation of deeply intelligent players who studied the game under elite managers have now stepped into management and are already operating at the highest level. Arteta in particular represents this new model of manager perfectly. Player shaped by Pep Guardiola, who absorbed tactical knowledge and then rebuilt a major club from the ground up using those learnings. The fact that he is now doing it at the level he is, while former opponents like Alonso are also building elite clubs, shows that the standard of management in the modern game is rising rapidly. The Arteta and Alonso childhood friendship. AFC staff shared a remarkable quote from Xabi Alonso, originally from June 2024, where he described his childhood friendship with Mikel Arteta in stunning detail. Alonso described growing up in the same neighbourhood as Arteta, skateboarding together, playing beach tennis, surfing, and of course, playing football. He described Arteta as maybe even crazier than me about football and called him a competitive monster, even as a child. He said the love Arteta had for the game was something you cannot teach, that you are born with it. Alonso also shared a charming moment where Arteta called him to discuss their Champions League draw, and they compared notes before laughing at the idea that they would one day both be managing top clubs. My analysis on this story is simply that it humanises 2 of the most respected managers in European football right now. It reminds us that the tactical sophistication and the career achievements did not come from nowhere. They came from children who were obsessed with football from the earliest age. And that obsession, that competitive fire that Alonso describes in Arteta is exactly what you see in how Arsenal have been managed this season. Arteta's intensity as a manager traces directly back to who he was as a child. Gabriel Jesus linked with Barcelona. This is a rumour now. We move into transfer territory, and I want to be very clear about the status of each story I cover here. Fan Arsenal team reported that Barcelona are reportedly preparing a move for Arsenal striker Gabriel Jesus. The reasoning given is that Robert Lewandowski's departure from Barcelona has been confirmed. The source cited is El Nacional, and it is reported that Arsenal would be open to letting Jesus leave for a package worth around €45 million. I want to be extremely clear with you. This is a rumour. This is not a confirmed transfer. This is not an official approach. This comes from a single source and it is speculative at this stage. My analytical comment on this is focused on the plausibility rather than the certainty. If Arsenal are indeed open to moving Jesus on for €45 million, that would represent a significant decision about the striker's role in the squad going forward. What the article tells us is that the valuation exists and the interest exists from Barcelona's side following Lewandowski's exit. But no deal has been agreed, no negotiations are confirmed, and this remains firmly in the rumour category. Matheus Fernandes' interest. This is a rumour. The same account reported that Arsenal are strongly interested in West Ham midfielder Matheus Fernandes this summer. The source cited here is Clara and Hugh. The report states that West Ham's asking price of around €100 million has been dismissed by agents in the industry as unrealistic. Fernandes is 21 years old, Portuguese, and is described as one of the few bright spots in what has been a hugely disappointing season for West Ham. Again, this is a rumour. No transfer has been agreed, no formal bid has been made based on this information. My analysis is that the detail about the asking price being dismissed as unrealistic is actually the most significant part of this story. It tells us that even if Arsenal's interest is genuine, the gap between what West Ham want and what the market considers fair is wide. That kind of gap often means deals collapse before they begin. So while Fernandes is clearly a talented young player who has attracted interest, the financial reality of this rumour suggests a deal would be far from straightforward. Sandro Tonali monitoring. This is a rumour. The third transfer story of the day involves Sandro Tonali at Newcastle United. Fan Arsenal team reported that Arsenal are among the Premier League clubs monitoring Tonali's future this summer. The source is Tuttomercato. The report states that Tonali is open to a move after a disappointing season and the prospect of no European football at Newcastle. Newcastle would consider offers in the 90 to 100 million euro range. This is a rumour. Arsenal have not made a bid. There is no confirmed interest beyond monitoring. My analysis here is that the phrase among the Premier League clubs is important. Arsenal are not described as the front runners or as having made any formal move. They are one of several clubs watching the situation. At 90 to 100 million euros, Tonali would represent a major financial commitment. And the story at this point does not give us enough to suggest Arsenal are seriously pursuing this above other options. Patrick Vieira urges Arsenal to give Arteta a new contract. Arsenal News reported that Patrick Vieira has publicly urged Arsenal Football Club to secure Mikel Arteta on a long-term deal. Vieira said Arsenal would be crazy not to give Arteta a new contract. He went further, arguing that coaches who understand a club and elevate it the way Arteta has done are increasingly rare in modern football. He referenced other major clubs struggling to find the right managers and said even if Arteta does not win anything, Arsenal should still extend his contract. My analysis on this is that Vieira's voice carries enormous weight in this conversation. He is not a pundit filling airtime. He is a former Arsenal captain who understands what the club requires from its leadership at the deepest level. And his argument is not based on trophies. It is based on transformation. He is saying that what Arteta has done to the identity, the culture, and the trajectory of Arsenal Football Club is so rare that it would be a serious mistake to allow uncertainty to exist around his future. The reference to other clubs struggling to find the right managers adds important context. The elite manager market is extremely competitive. If Arsenal were to lose Arteta, replacing him with someone of equivalent vision and club understanding would be an enormous challenge. Vieira appears to understand that clearly, and his public statement is a strong endorsement of the case for a new deal. Fabio Vieira's loan season at Hamburger SV. The final story of the day comes from Daily AFC, who shared the statistics from Fabio Vieira's loan spell at Hamburger SV this season. Vieira registered 7 goals and 5 assists in 31 games. The Post also highlighted that he scored or assisted against Bayern Munich, Dortmund, Leipzig, Stuttgart, Hoffenheim and Leverkusen, among others, with a defeat only listed against Freiburg. My analysis on this is that these numbers tell a story of a player who has gone out on loan and genuinely contributed against high-quality opposition in a competitive league. 7 goals and 5 assists in 31 appearances from a midfielder is a solid return. But more importantly, the quality of the opponents he performed against, Bayern, Dortmund, Leipzig, these are not easy environments. Producing in those games shows character and technical quality. What this means for Arsenal's future plans around Vieira is not confirmed in this information. But what the data does confirm is that the loan has not been wasted. He has played regular football, he has contributed meaningfully, and he has tested himself against strong opponents. That is exactly what a loan is supposed to achieve. The title race. Now, let me bring together the 2 full articles and give you my complete analytical picture of where Arsenal stand in the title race right now. Arsenal go into their final 2 Premier League matches top of the table by 2 points. The remaining fixtures are Burnley at home, followed by Crystal Palace away. Manchester City, their closest rivals, face Bournemouth away and then Aston Villa. The situation is simple in one sense. Arsenal depend on themselves. If they win both games, the title is theirs, regardless of what City do. That is the cleanest path, and the one Zubimendi was describing when he said the squad does not care about City's results. But Rodri'S warning deserves genuine respect. He said, and this is crucial, that from City's experience, they were losing the title at home to Aston Villa in the 80th minute on the final day. So everything can happen. He is not whistling in the dark. He is drawing on a real memory. City know what a late collapse feels like, and they also know what a miraculous recovery feels like. They have lived both. So when Rodri says he hopes Arsenal drop points, he genuinely believes it remains possible. The two opponents Arsenal face are interesting. Burnley have already been relegated. A relegated side in the final weeks of a season can go one of two ways. Some teams collapse completely because the tension is gone. Others find freedom in having nothing to lose and put in a surprising performance. The statistics about Arsenal's home record against promoted sides, 44 unbeaten games since 2010, suggests Arsenal know exactly how to handle this type of fixture. The system, the preparation and the mentality around these games is clearly very strong. Crystal Palace, the final game, is more nuanced. The article mentions that Palace could heavily rotate ahead of their Europa Conference League final. That is a real factor. If Palace prioritise their own cup final and field a rotated squad against Arsenal, that makes things considerably more comfortable for the Gunners. But Arsenal cannot assume rotation. They must prepare for full-strength opposition and treat anything less as a bonus. The Timber situation and the Champions League final. The Jurriën Timber story is one of the most delicate management challenges Arteta faces right now. Timber was spotted arriving at London Colney for training ahead of the Burnley game. Arsenal deleted the social media post featuring the image quickly, which tells you Arteta wants to keep this information controlled, but fans spotted it. And the reaction from supporters reflects exactly what you would expect. The key facts are these. Ben White has been ruled out for the rest of the season. Timber was previously described as excellent against Paris Saint-Germain, having locked down Kvaratskhelia across both legs of their earlier matchup. The Champions League final is on the 30th of May in Budapest, and it is against Paris Saint-Germain, who have Kvaratskhelia in their squad. The fan reactions that have emerged reflect a strong and consistent message. Do not rush Timber. Do not risk him in the Burnley game if he is not fully ready. Give him limited minutes against Crystal Palace to get match sharpness and have him ready for the final. My analysis is that this is actually a very sophisticated problem for Arteta to solve. Timber's return is clearly positive news. But how you manage a player returning from injury in a 2-week window that includes 2 Premier League games and a Champions League final requires extreme precision. Too many minutes too soon risks a setback that could rule him out of Budapest. Too few minutes and he arrives at the final without the match sharpness needed to contain one of the most dangerous attackers in European football. The suggestion from some fans of 50 minutes against Burnley, 45 against Palace and a full contribution in Budapest is not unreasonable as a framework. Arteta and the medical staff will have a clearer picture of Timber's physical condition than anyone outside the building. What we can say with confidence is that the timing of his return is significant, and the management of his minutes over the next fortnight will be one of the most important decisions Arteta makes this season. Let me bring everything together for you now. Arsenal are 2 wins away from their first Premier League title in 22 years. They face a relegated Burnley side at home, a fixture their record suggests they should handle comfortably. They then face Crystal Palace away in a game that could be influenced by Palace's own cup final preparations. Manchester City are not giving up. Rodri'S words are clear and composed. They will push until the final whistle of the final game. Arsenal cannot afford to drop points and then hope City also drop points. The cleanest and most controlled path is to win both games and take the title themselves. The dressing room is aligned. Zubimendi, Eze and Saka have all spoken with the same composure and the same focus. The culture Arteta has built is visible in how his players communicate publicly. There is no panic. There is no looking sideways at City's results. There is only internal focus and a clear understanding of the task. The Kroenkes have signalled their appreciation for what this season has already delivered. Wenger has validated Arteta's evolution of the club's identity. Vieira has argued publicly that Arteta should be secured for the long term. The institutional support around this manager is strong and getting stronger. And on the horizon in Budapest on the 30th of May, a Champions League final waits. The possibility of a historic double is real. Timber's return, if managed correctly, could be the detail that makes the difference in that final. This is an extraordinary moment for Arsenal Football Club. And every piece of information we have covered today points in the same direction. The situation is clear. Arsenal are in control. Now they have to prove it on the pitch. Thank you for watching Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. If this video gave you value, please subscribe, share it with a fellow Arsenal supporter and leave a comment below telling me what you think happens in the next 2 Premier League games. I will see you in the next video.